Welcome to Black Women's World, where Black women vibe and thrive together. And if you ain't a Black woman, you'll get to know at least one. Because this Black Women's World, my Black woman's world, is whatever I say it is, simply because I am. So welcome, SistaNistas and SistaNista Lovers. We're here for you. Much love and peace. Well, hello, everybody. I am TracyMac, your host of Black Women's World Podcast. That is the BWWP. Hello to all of my SistaNistas and SistaNista lovers. I am so glad that you all are with me today. And I also want to thank my audience for continuing to evolve with me. How I started Black Women's World Podcast back in 2020, it has shifted and changed. I brought some great women to the stage. I brought great subjects to the stage. And something I say in the promo is a Black woman, my world is whatever I say it is. We as Black women go through so many different things, positive, negative, and different. And one thing I can say about us, we are resilient, but we are some spiritual beings. And I bring a lot of spirituality to the Black Women's World Podcast audience, even through Peace Place, my virtual inclusive community. And I just want to thank you all for allowing me to vibe with you on whatever frame or whatever posture that you choose to take with me. Today, in my Black women's world, I have men in my life. Today in the United States, we celebrate Father's Day. And Father's Day can mean a lot to a lot of different people. You know, and some people, their daddies can do no wrong. And in some people's lives, all their daddy ever did was wrong. And some of us fall in between. We fall in between. And so everyone's experience when it comes to Father's Day may not be happy. But we don't want to not celebrate the happiness that some of us have with our fathers, even if our experiences in fatherhood or as a child has had its ranges, our ups and downs and ins and outs. So we do want to commemorate the day and celebrate. And by doing so, I want to bring to you a topic today, the legacy of leadership, going from sons to fathers. And I, of course, ain't nobody's daddy. But so I have two very special guests I want to share with you. But before I bring them in, people assume a lot I know about my life when it comes to my dad. Those who know me and my dad, they assume a lot. But I've shared publicly, I didn't have lunch with my father one-on-one until 2006. And my dad, well, he worked. He worked, and my earliest memories of him was working some type of uniform, whether it be his military uniform or going. He had a cleaning company. He was always working, and one of my earliest memories of him working in his starch military uniform. And then when he got out of the military, and God changed his whole life and turned it around, and he was still working in the kingdom. And I was so glad that my fondest and my most influential memories about my dad is about that, the spiritual father he was and is to many. And but I know when my dad got saved, the whole house got saved, period. You ain't have no other options. So I learned quick that if I was going to have a relationship with my dad, I had to get on board with what he was doing and what he was all about. Because I'm just going to be very transparent with you. I knew at a young age that my dad was too big for just me and my siblings to have. I knew I would have to share him. And one time he said, listen, I want y'all to be with me. But if you're going to be with me, you got to get on this bandwagon. He said, because I'm going and I won't be able to stop. I took that thing and I said, let me go on and jump on this thing. And I worked with my dad, with him in ministry, alongside him in ministry, and even for him. I was an employee. Sometimes I didn't get paid. But anyway, and in sharing my dad, he has been a father figure to many, especially spiritually. And I remember one time a friend of mine had lost their father. And I said, I'll share my dad with you. And they kind of looked at me kind of funny. And I heard through the grapevine a little bit later, they told someone else, her daddy can't be my daddy. Her daddy can't replace my daddy. I was never trying to get my dad to replace their dad. I just knew the positive spiritual role my dad had played in so many lives. And I knew that this person could benefit from it. So I wasn't trying to get my dad to replace them. I just knew that sometimes you need a father's ear. Sometimes you need to hear a father's voice, a father's advice. sometimes you can benefit from a father praying over you. And so I knew that this person could benefit. So I was like, ain't nobody trying to replace your daddy, man. You know, but anyway, so I thank God for the opportunity to have my dad in my life. And I can say this before I don't want to go too much long, because a lot of times we talk about Black men without talking to them. And then sometimes when we talk to them, it's only in the places where they work or where they serve. But how are we intimate? How do we have intimate conversations with Black men? And especially as a Black woman, how do we have intimacy with them? And I don't mean intimacy in a sexual connotation, but how do we get to know them more, know more about them, maybe behind some of the decisions they made? And I can say this on Father's Day about my dad is, there were, like I said, he taught me about the unconditional love of God. That's what my dad did. And then I see my husband as a great father, and I can't talk about him as my dad, but he is a great father. And when I look at these two men in my life, and they're my two guests today, Bishop Emeritus Walter E. Jones and Owen L. McNeil, my dad taught me about the unconditional love of God through the kingdom. But my husband, Owen McNeil, he has shown me on a consistent and regular basis of what it means for a Black man to condition his love for me. And without further ado, I would like to bring both of them to the Black Women's World podcast stage, Mr. Walter E. Jones, my dad, and Owen L. McNeil, husband. Between the two of y'all, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How are you?
Good, real good.
Dad, you doing all right? Can you hear me?
I'm doing great, girl.
That's
Owen,
good.
doing fine.
Happy Father's Day.
Hey.
Listen, I am say a little bit about yourself, what you want the audience to know. We're going to have a great conversation about so many different things, but tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Bishop Emeritus, Bishop retired, Marine, once a Marine, always Marine. What you want the audience to know about you today?
Well, first of all, I love you. I love you, Owen. I love you, Tracy. I love Jada. Uh, Tracy, you mentioned the fact in your opening introduction. I am convinced that God is love, and
Yes.
and I know when I didn't fall in love with God, because you fall in love, you can fall out of love. But I
Mm-hmm.
grew in love with God. I learned to love God, and in loving God, I learned to love the people of God, and uh, and the people of God are all the people. I learned to love all the people, and that is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm convinced catapulted me as well into the ministry, was the love of God. And I still love the people of God. So, as part of your introduction, I'll just leave it there. And just I love what you said in your introduction, because I believe that too. That the love of God, and God is who I say who He is,
Mm-hmm.
and God is my all in all. He's everything, and uh,
Yes.
and I don't want to exist without Him, because without Him there is no me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of leave it like that right now, and just open it up for
Okay.
your comments and questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that,
So
Dad. You made me think of James Cleveland. God is the joy and the strength of my life.
hey,
He moves all pain, misery. When you said God is my all, I thought about God is my all and all. Yes, yes, yes. Owen McNeil, my baby daddy.
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing this
How
morning?
you doing, Owen?
Good, good. Well, I mean, wow. Knowing that God
hey,
is the head of my life and rules everything that I do, you know, um, being who I am, I myself, as a father, a husband, make all my decisions, plans, and ideas, all through the wisdom that God provides for me each and every day, the strength in my body, to be who I am. And just being a dad is a tremendous and a fun and enjoyable thing, and an awesome task. And I'll share information later in regards to my position on that as well. Being a husband, it's just been an honor to just be able to love this woman right here with ease. From the first time I met her, from the first time I met her to even now and beyond, just looking at the beauty of the future. I myself I'm a very humble guy, very simple guy. Just want to be a person that loves on everybody. Hear all the stories and no prejudge in any way, but just being someone that accept folks for who they are and where they are. And seeing where I could assist them and or improve their life in different ways. And I thank God for wisdom in doing so and knowing how, because everybody you can't help, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some can, so you do what you can through the wisdom and a lifestyle of evangelism, of who I am and what I do each and every day.
Go ahead, brother man. Go ahead. I love it. I love it. And listen, in sharing about this, like I said, the topic is legacy of leadership, because both of you have been leaders most of your lives. And I mean, official leadership capacities. But before you were leaders, you were sons. So that's why I titled it Legacy of Leadership from Sons to Fathers. And when we think about you both being sons and having different relationships with your father, Owen, I know, rest in peace, your father recently passed, and my grandpa, Johnny Jones, and my dad's dad has passed away. But can you share something about um, what you felt like or what it was like growing up as a young black man, as a son, whether you want to pull your dads into it, or your mom? What was it like growing up? And we're gonna keep it brief, but as one of the social media influencers say, we're gonna keep it black, but we're gonna keep it brief. So what was maybe something about your dad? Let me go there so we can keep it more succinct. Something about your dad that you remember as a son. Dad, would you like to go first? I know there's a slight delay, so I'll hold just a second. Would you like to go first? Something about your dad that you recall when you were a little boy.
Well, the thing that I remember about my dad was the fact that his work ethic. My
Mm,
dad had a work ethic. I would see my dad get up at old dog 30 in the morning, and he would always place the newspaper. He got off the front porch. He would place it under his arm, and he would walk down the street to catch the bus to go to Isaac Fast Seafood Company, where he would work, and his job was cleaning and scraping the fish so that they could be clean to go to market. But he
mm,
did that every morning. And plus, my dad worked on cars at a mechanic shop. So my dad had two full-time jobs and a part-time job
wow.
carrying newspapers to take care of the family. So I noticed my dad's work ethics, and he was never home. My dad left early in the morning and he always came back in late at night. But the thing of it is, my mom, and I know we're talking about dad, but my mom always left dinner out for my dad. So I saw that and I embraced that in my life, and I went into life with a work ethic. And
Mm,
I know, and I had written down that uh, fathers are providers,
mm-hmm,
parents are nurturers, and dads are caretakers.
mm,
And I remember that my dad always provided for us. And
wow.
my dad as a parent had a nurturing environment. We were never abused. My
Mm,
dad had a very nurturing environment with my mom, and they took care of us. So I know that was part of my bringing up as a son.
Hmm. Wow. And just hearing you say it, even being aware of it growing up,
Hmm.
but hearing you say it, that's where you got it from.
Mhm.
Work, work, work. Everything was about taking care of your family. And I can attest to the fact we may not have had all we wanted, but God knows we had all we needed. Even if it looked a little shaky sometime. My dad got from his dad being a worker and a provider, starting a cleaning company. And I remember going with you some of the houses, and cleaning the menageries that somebody may have had, or dusting, to be involved in the work, So I thank you for the legacy of a work ethic. That really means a lot. Owen, what are you fondest memories of your dad?
Well, I too, I mean, I can also say as well, my dad had a beautiful and awesome work ethic. We didn't see our dad a whole lot as well because he did work. Now, of course, when we were much smaller, there were times when my twin brother and I had to go to kindergarten, of course, or nursery. My youngest brother was too young to go. So that rascal would always get a chance to actually go with my dad to the work sites that he would go to. My dad was a brick mason by trade and did some tremendous work, towel setter, all that kind of good stuff. So he was a hardcore blue collar worker. And I always recall, seeing my dad going to work and being, doing what he needs to do. And one of the fond memories I do have is like when I was a kid, I did play football a lot, right? So he would do everything possible to make sure he was at the games. If
At the
we had to go
football
out of town
games?
at the football games, yes.
Uh-huh.
So even those times when we traveled out of town, it was great to see him do that. But as a father, he made sure that he provided for our household. I believe if you would in the 70s or early 80s, as you would look at our household, it was kind of like in a very we lived in a great neighborhood. We were a good
Hmm.
middle class family, and he did provide for us in every way. My mom, on the other hand, was a tremendous nurturer. I mean, she was the one that really helped get us where we needed to be and things of that sort. Never complained or anything. Just do what she needed to do for her sons, as well in
Hmm.
raising us. And my dad, on the other hand, he did everything he knew to do best what was available to him, at that
Hmm.
space and time. So
Hmm.
I had a great experience. I don't ever remember any abuses or anything of that sort. In fact, I believe the environment that were raised in created who I am today. To be
Mm.
someone that did not judge in any way. Just do the best you can with what you have in your hand, so to speak,
Hmm.
and be a good citizen. In
Yeah.
every way. So, but
Yeah.
I appreciated both of them.
Wow. I thank both of you for sharing that because, people have different experiences with their dads. And one thing I remember some time ago, I did a podcast with both my parents at the time called Parents Are People Too. And I think sometimes we forget men were little boys. We put the responsibility of they can't cry, they can't be emotional, they can't be intimate without sexual activity, or they can't hurt. And so when I hear you both think about or talk about your dads, about the work ethic and stuff, there was a time when you had to be provided for. And so I remember someone. I haven't had a whole lot of mentors in my life, not because I didn't want them, but because my life wasn't set up that way. My dad, of course, and a lot of people mentoring from the pulpit. And I remember um, people talking about their fathers and Father God and this, that, and the other. And when we think about it, one of my mentors was saying, whenever you get nervous, because a lot of times I would have to go in the room, and thank God for having that support, mind support, is that sometimes I have to see the whole room as little children. When I've gone in the room and I'm the only,
Mhm.
I go in the room and I see we're all little kids on the playground. And so it takes that away. So I thank you for allowing us to see that glimpse. Is there any, what do you recall liking to play as a little boy? What was your favorite pastime? Dad, when you were a little boy, what did y'all do? I know y'all work early, just like I work early. That's a legacy too. My siblings work early too, but you work early. But when you were a little boy, what were some fun things you remember playing and doing in the neighborhood or with your six brothers and your one sister? What was that like?
One of the things was the fact that back I'm 80 years old, and back in the day we didn't have swimming pools and so forth. So when it rained, the ditch would in front of our house would overflood, and we would go swimming. We would go swimming in the ditches, and and I remember that because it was a fun time when I was 9 years old. And
Hmm.
when she died, she left my father with seven boys and one girl. And my
Hmm.
dad, one of the things you're talking about legacy, one of the
Uh-huh.
things that my brothers and I inherited from my dad was how to respect women. My
Mm.
sister, uh, dad would always tell us, don't you ever hurt your sister, because if you do, you don't have to worry about God. I'll take care of you myself. And, and my
Mhm.
dad provided and made sure that we took care of my sister. And that girl grew
Hmm.
up. She could tickle us. I remember she would tickle us, and y'all excuse me, but she would tickle me sometime till I would pee on myself. And
That's
she'd
the
be
water.
tickling us and just making us laugh and so forth. And we would never tell our dad, And
Yeah.
but we had a very healthy household as children because my dad uh my dad took care of, he's provided for us. And I
Mm.
learned that, and I know Owen can relate to being in the military and so forth.
Ho
And I
ho,
was
pump your
gone a
brakes. We're,
lot
we're
as a
gonna talk about that
Marine.
in a minute. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. Ho ho
Oh,
ho.
okay. All right.
Mhm.
You got the car and the
But
horse.
I did. Yeah. But that was one of the things that I appreciated when Owen came to Ambassadors for Christ and met you, Tracy. I loved
Uh-huh.
him from the beginning. Owen, I loved you, and I believe that you were God sent for Tracy. So if she treats you bad, you just let me know, okay? All right.
All right. Oh my God.
If he ain't told it by now, oh, so Owen, what were
Yeah.
some of the? My dad talked about swimming in the ditch and being tickled and having
Mhm.
fun with his sister and brother and stuff like that. What were some of the fun things you remember doing as a little boy?
Oh wow. We oh my God. We have free reign, if you will. Um, we played you name it. We played every game you can think of. We ran track at night sometimes, based on the location. We lived in a project, so it was like a fun thing to play
So
run
at
track.
so at one point in your life, y'all lived in the suburbs, but then
Right.
another point in your life, y'all moved to the projects, right? Okay,
Right.
go ahead.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So when we lived in a suburb type life, we enjoyed going to the park all the time, playing in our yard. We lived on a hill, so we would always play like army games and King of the Hill, King of the Mountain, and all those different kinds of games. In fact, one time, because my dad was big into wrestling a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
So what we did
That
was
ain't
we
how they
created.
said it back then. You know that ain't how they said. They said wrestling, like my
They
daddy
said
still says
wrestling,
right now, wrestling.
yeah. So, but we even made our own wrestling match. We had friends in the neighborhood that would bring their belt, and we would have our competition in our backyard. Now, we also play football in our backyard. We had a decent sized backyard. We also played football a lot as well. And one of
Uh-huh.
the things I remember is my dad had filled out our sandbox up with some fresh gravel. Well, we figured
Uh-huh.
out, say we got ourselves together one day and say, look, we're gonna make a football field in our backyard. Took all that gravel and marked off all them lines and everything, right? And so when he came home and said, "What happened to all the sand?" My mama said, "Look in the backyard." So we got got a little tap for that, but it was fun because we knew, we created our own environment. Me and my three brothers that were at the house. My oldest brother Roy had already left to go in the army. Rodney was
Uh-huh.
living with his grandparents, so to speak, and so we had fun, when we lived
Uh-huh.
there. And of course, when my parents separated when I was 13 and things like that, and we moved back to the projects as a means of family and survival community. We played games. We had cousins that would create games because the sports they played, they wanted everybody in the neighborhood to play as well. So we played
Okay.
football, you name it, war in the bushes, stick war, what kind of stuff, Bill camps, all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty exciting, great experience, so to speak. But it was fun. I could say every experience was a joy. Looking back, compared to
Mm-hmm.
now, and things of that sort. So you were outside every day. It was like you couldn't wait for that sun to come up to see what new thing you're going
Yes.
to do. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I just had that experience the other day with some people in the doctor's office, and I did a little Facebook thing about reminiscing, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
stickball in the street, we had no bat, we had an old broom handle and a tennis
Mm-hmm.
ball from somewhere, or a flat
Right.
basketball to play kickball with, or
Mm-hmm.
all those fun times. And so, well, when you both were young and having those playful times, of course, time keeps moving. The only thing constant in the world is change. And so you got to a place where both of you in different eras joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the audience what motivated you to join the military. The branch of military for my dad is United States Marine Corps, and Owen is United States Navy Corpsman. But tell the audience, Dad, what motivated you to join the Marine Corps, and when did you join the Marine Corps?
Well, one of the thing was the recruiting station was at the local post office. That I was because I could see the financial frustrations and needs in my family. I was going to go and join the military just to get away from home and take care of my family, help take care of my family. And I went down to the post office to join the army, and the army recruiter wasn't in, and I was sitting on the bench waiting for him when the Marine said I came to join the army. He said, "Well, the army guy's not in. Come on in my office." And he carried me in the Marine Corps office, and I wound up joining the Marine Corps. And the next day, I was off on the bus to Richmond, Virginia, and the
The
next thing
next
I knew, I
day.
was in the barracks. The
Oh.
next day, and the next thing I know, I was at Paris Island. I was at Paris Island in the Marine Corps, and I was asking myself, "What in the world am I doing here?" The guy done
Mm,
cut all my hair off. Asked me,
mm.
he said, "Do you want that mustache?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "No," and cut it off and gave it to me. And I was in the Marine Corps, and next thing I know, I was stepping on those yellow footprints, and we were marching and all that stuff, and I was in the Marine Corps, and I found out that I loved the discipline that the
Mm,
Marine Corps instilled in me. And I say this today: if it wasn't for God and the Marine Corps, I would be in jail. and
mm,
and so God sent me into the Marine Corps where I learned discipline, and I brought that
mm,
discipline back into my life, and that's why I am like I am today. And just yesterday, I had a guy to call me and ask me about some things that he and I was in the Marine Corps together at different times,
mm-hmm,
and he was asking me about some things in the Marine Corps, and
mm-hmm.
we were talking, and it was just like old home week. I mean, we just brought back all kind of memories
Wow.
and different things about the military. So that will always be a part. That will always be my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at the place in life right now where uh, that's always a part of my life, but it's helped to make me who today.
Hmm.
And I just love it. Okay.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. They hooked you up quick. They ain't give you, they, ain't give- they like press go. We ain't stopping for stitches. You in here now, boy. Owen, the United States Navy corpsman, retiree. Tell us what made you join the Navy, or who?
Oh, who? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Who? Well, it was a my intention. Military was kind of an idea, but it wasn't my intention originally because I wanted to always be a manager. I was working at the time, coming out of high school. I was working for a department store, and I wanted to move up in management. So the manager said, "Hey, look, hang around for a little bit. We'll see if we can get you to one of our trainings in North Carolina." And therefore, you can, probably have your own store. So I'm 17, 18 years old at the time. So here I am in summer, graduated from high school already, and I had wanted to go to the Citadel, but that wasn't manifesting as quickly as I wanted to. So here I am at home one day in the week, before I was sleeping before I went to work. And my oldest brother, he was on the drill field at the time, so he decided to, come home on leave unannounced, right? So here I am in the room, just kicking back, sleeping actually. They come to the door, boom. Hey boy, what you doing? How you doing? Nah, ain't good, Trace. Hey, what you doing? I said, oh, just getting some sleep before I go to work. All right, cool. You want to go shopping? I said, oh yeah, sure. Put some clothes on. Let's go. So put some clothes on to go shopping. So I'm saying, oh man, I'm gonna get some new clothes, for work. That rascal put me in his car. We started driving around. He's like, I'll make a stop at this building. So we go in this building. It's an Army recruiting station. So he goes in there, come in there and say, hey, I think I want to. My brother, I think he want to sign up for the Army. And so they started talking that, Army jargon about, you get $10,000 to, just drive a tank and this, that, and the other. My brother said, nah, I know what that's about. Come on, let's go. I said, wait, when we going shopping? He said, we are shopping. We're shopping for a job for you. So, so next thing you know, we go down to the depot where they have the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Air Force right next to each other. And we walked up to the Marine Corps side, and I was that close to going in the Marine Corps. And he said, well, you can, join the Marines, you go in and talk to them, see what they got to say. So went in there, talked to the guy and everything. He said, what you think? I said, man, that uniform is mighty nice. So we walked down past the Navy and went to the Air Force. Went to the Air Force One, and at the time they were saying, "Look, we want to bring you in, but our recruitment is kind of low. They're kind of selective.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a whole lot of push. But the next thing you know, I walked into the Navy's recruiting depot, and when I walked in that building or into that room, I saw all the ratings and the jobs that were there. And I expressed to the recruiter what I would like to do, and things. He said, "Oh yes, we got a job for you. We got a job for you." And he was real nice, real welcoming. So next thing you
Hmm.
know, I make a decision. Next thing you know, I'm at Fort Jackson. Next thing you know, I'm on an airplane to O'Hara in Chicago. Next thing you know, I'm on my feet on some yellow footprints. And next thing you know, I'm marching down this dark road. Don't know where I'm going with a backpack. No, they said, look, carry this bag with you because you can put all your personal belongings in this. Got me there, and they put us in the berthing and whatnot. And so I remember my brother talking about what things he used to do on the drill field. So I was like, I know they're gonna come in here with some trash cans any minute now, and they're gonna be, rattling things and making noise. So went in there, and God knows they woke up next morning. They came in real nice, knocked on the door. Hey, hit the lights, get up, time to go, and everything. That was the dress rehearsal because we went to eat and we had, of course, they give you no time to eat and things like that. So we go back, but when our whole company got formed, that's when things got real saucy. So at that time, I learned from there. I grew from there. Went in the Navy, came in as a corpsman, and went to school for it. And I tell you what, I look back now, and I don't regret a moment of it. I've had an opportunity to travel the world,
Hmm.
conflicts involved as well, and married my wife during that process, and here I am, retired from all those beautiful years in the military, and I don't regret a day of it. and it made me who I am today. As far as
Hmm.
that, build a real good foundation for me, and I appreciate
Wow, wow. I'm over here weak at both of y'all. Wow, thank you for sharing those memorable because I tried to join, and this ain't about Tracy, so let me get back on y'all. When
it.
you talk about, people will say thank you for your service, and I thank you for your service. As a daughter of a Marine, I know the squared away Marine my dad was. I know the not only from the discipline of the military, but his dad instilled in him. I clean the way I clean because my dad, keeping things clean and orderly and neat, and it just helps keep your life clean. And then but his service, I saw him, leave the family and have to go overseas, and I think that's what prepared me as a wife, because Owen had to leave, he had to leave several times, not only to go overseas unaccompanied, but to war twice. And it was a lot. And so I thank you for your service, as going from boys to men into serving the country. And then let's transition a little bit, and we talk about service, serving the country. Both of you have served in community and church and been influential in the lives of many. And I can say my dad more forefront and yet behind the scenes. But Owen, I can say you have been a behind the scenes servant in so many ways. Whether it be a sound technician, if it wasn't for you, nobody would be heard. Even what you do production wise, I hear a little bit of feedback from somebody. But even in what you do production wise for not only me, but what you've done for people, audio and in times past, and that you in the forefront of ministry, building a church, literally from the ground up, forming a body of people that you knew would never be yours to control, so to speak. But what has your service, and whether it be the fun times, the what you benefited from, the challenges, just briefly, what has been the service that you have been able to provide for many people? How has that changed your life? Dad, I'll let you go first.
Well, Tracy, just Thursday, a lady called me. Just Thursday, a lady called me, and I
Mm.
don't want to call her name on this, but she called me
Uh-huh.
and she told me that she said, "I want to apologize to you." I said,
Mm.
"Apologize?" She said, "Yeah." Said told me she got mad with me when I was pastoring. And Tracy, how many years
Mm.
did I pastor?
From
I
81
pastored over
to
30 some years.
2006. From
Uh,
81 to 2000. You were associate
yeah,
pastor prior to then, but you pastored and pastors from 81 to
yeah.
2006. Hmm.
And you have to help me. But she told me she got mad with me because she brought her daughter when I was pastoring. She brought her daughter in for me to counsel her daughter because her daughter was in high school and her daughter wanted to quit school
Hmm.
and go into the military. And
Hmm.
she said, "Daughter," and I told the lady, I said, "You better let her go." And the lady said, "Let her go." I said, "Yeah, you better let her go because that look on her face says if you don't let her go, she's gonna leave." And the lady
Mm.
said, "That ain't what I came in here to for you to tell her." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But do you see that look on her face?" And the lady stormed out of my office and she was mad
Mm.
with me and went and told some other people what I had said. But the lady called me Thursday and told me, she said, "You remember when I brought my daughter in your office and you told me to let her go and I got mad with you?" She said, "I just want to let her go." My daughter went into the military for 4 years, got out the military, and joined the TSA, and she became, well, her daughter just received a promotion with the TSA. She's making more money now than any high school graduate
Mm-hmm.
of her time, and she has just been promoted to be the head of the TSA that's bringing the new airline to
Mm.
Jacksonville. She's going to be the head of it, and they're going to be flying out of
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, Newbern, and back into Raleigh, and she's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
head of it. So the thing I'm saying to that is planting a seed. You plant the seed, it has to be watered, nurtured, and so forth. But if you leave it alone, it'll grow and materialize. So now she's seeing that seed come forth. All these years,
Mm-hmm.
she's seeing her daughter come forth now. So I'm just saying that to say, I learned that patience in the military. I learned it being a pastor because I've had to speak into many people's lives. And I know that in doing that, I neglected my family because I became the father and parent of so many other people that,
Mm-hmm.
it was just the whole family that I shepherded over those years, became so relevant. So that's just one situation, but I know in many situations that people uh, have have been rewarded as a result of my pastoring. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can attest to the fact of that, Dad. Owen, I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll say something else. But Owen, your community and church involvement, your ministry, and even you being ordained in ministry as an elder. How has that? How did that, and how does that affect your life as a man, a dad, or however?
Well, I think for me, that coupled with the military experience, being raised in such a way of kindness that it helps in understanding and having empathy in people's situations. It has given me the opportunity to also be a light. As I mentioned earlier about being having a lifestyle evangelistic life itself, a lifestyle. You know,
Mm-hmm.
has been that. And there are probably lots of folks that may have benefited from it that I'm not even aware of. But
Mm-hmm.
what my thing is when I'm in the presence of an individual, I want them to feel as welcome and warm as possible. Depending on what the situation is. There's been even in my earlier time, joking with someone, making a serious situation as lighthearted as possible,
Yeah.
and those kind of things. And just even some of the younger folks that I may have had around me, even at the church at the time. Seeing where their lives have gone to from there, especially when we did the youth group at
When we
our
were youth
time.
pastors, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just seeing how their lives have grown and developed as a result of just our presence and being able to impart unto them, good things, how to be a good person to individuals that come around or at least walk through their lives, that they will be, profitable in every way. And so I really believe that my military life, even having humanitarian missions and stuff like that as well, give me a chance to see what the rest of the world looks like, and how, the empathy for what blessings we have, as Americans as well, and being able to share that in our communities. And it's been
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. The fraternity I'm with, Kappa Lambda Chi Military Fraternity Incorporated, has given me another chance to also see how we have benefited or at least have touched the community in different areas in North Carolina and around the world, and
Mm-hmm.
benefiting those youthful situations and contributing to it, in various ways. So,
Mm-hmm.
it comes more than just sometimes legwork, or putting in the work, as we always say. It
Yeah.
comes to also financially supporting those things as well, and just being a ready resource, when the opportunity presents itself. So, it's just been wonderful. I continue to love it as I'm getting older, or should I say seasoned, in life. I look forward to, just being that person. Like when I leave what I'm doing now, when I do, of course, I have a foundation that I want to constantly work through as far as being a helpful person to those in the
Mm-hmm.
community as well as those that are around my life.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate both of your responses in that because sometimes people only want the stage, or sometimes people only want the light. But it's the behind the scenes things that I have seen both of you do, the sacrifices I know both of you have made. I wish I could tell it all, because it's that leadership, it's that legacy to leadership. I have seen it with my own eyes. We don't have enough time to tell it today. And sometimes people don't know your life because they walk in on the chapter they walk in on. They don't know the background. They don't know the sacrifices. They don't know the time. They don't know the work that you have put in. And sometimes people may look at your life at this point and say, well, but they have no idea. And then some of the things you're doing, the phone calls that I know you still get, even though you're not officially pastoring. Some people have gone to other churches, as they should have, because we grow and we go, we do different things. But some people still call you, and they'll call you and can't still talk to their own pastor about some very personal or private things. And Owen, God knows, I know the things you do, especially financially, how you
Mhm.
support different people work, a lot of things we do anonymously. So I thank you
Mhm.
both for what you do in the community, even though people may not call your name. And you do it in spite of, even people, you may not get the plaque, the award. I remember some time ago, I was talking to my dad, and he was like, I don't need another plaque. I don't want nothing else. I got. And so I just thank you for that. And something my dad was saying, as far as the person who was angry with them at the time. Sometimes, as we know, as people, and as you all both know as fathers, sometimes you have to do things. And sometimes your children may have, me and my siblings, we do have holes and voids. My dad admittedly said he knew he had to listen. I'm on a mission, and I know I'm going to have to leave y'all. And it may have left some gaps and holes and things that are unfulfilled or whatever. But God knows, as adults, we got to make new choices. Okay, we didn't get that, but what can we do? We didn't have that, but what can we do? So, as I say a lot of times, just keep living. We don't know why our parents made the decisions they made. They were people, and they are people the whole time. They make mistakes, they have triumphs, but we get to see them, and hopefully we learn from those mistakes and those triumphs. I want to do something, and we may not be able to do it as rapid fire as I wanted to, because I know my dad's connection is a little delayed. But I would like for you to answer. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I would like for you to answer them one word or very short answers, um, rapid fire. So, like I said, we may not be able to go as fast because I know my dad's connection is a little delayed. But what is your favorite food, Dad? Your favorite food?
My favorite food,
Hmm.
Owen.
Oh, he's stuck. You buffering. We're gonna let you come back in. Wait a minute, Dad.
I
What did you say? You dropped out. What was
I
your
do the
favorite food?
BOGO from Smithfield. I don't cook.
Oh, okay. I'm
I
gonna say it for.
will
I know
tell her,
what it is, but because
Owen, I do the BOGO from Smithfield
okay,
or East
everybody in
Restaurant and get a takeout.
Eastern North Carolina, we all know Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue. My dad likes the BOGO Brunswick stew. That is his favorite go-to. I had to repeat it, Dad, because you cut out a little bit on your audio, but I happen to know what it is. Oh, what's your favorite food?
Oh, Asian.
Asian
All
food.
things
Asian food.
Asian.
Did that got
Mhm.
anything to do with
Mhm.
that Geechee rice, that South Carolinian Geechee in you that like
Oh
rice?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
What's your favorite thing to do, Dad? What's your favorite pastime right now? Or maybe in the past? What's your favorite thing to do? We all smiling because my dad said, ding, ding, ding. Dad, did you hear the question? What is your favorite pastime, or what's your favorite thing to do? Oh, and I think he might be buffering. You're gonna have to jump on in. This is
Uh,
live.
all,
Oh, there he is.
Tracy, the other day I got in the mail my coloring books that you and Owen sent, and that's what I do. I enjoy coloring and listening to CD while I'm coloring. So that's my pastime. I really love it. Enjoy it.
Okay, we finally got that answer. Finally. Owen, what's your favorite pastime or thing to do?
Oh man, my one of my favorite pastimes is to create, whether it's artistically, or something musically as well. And I love to listen to music while I'm working, and of course, sitting on my back porch.
Cool, cool. Dad, what is the best piece of advice you could give a father? Hold for exceptional customer service. Dad, what is the best piece of advice you could give a father?
Um, love. I love my children all the same, but I relate to them differently. And even in saying that, to say I love Tracy, I love Owen and Tracy, but I'm not trying to be Jada's father through you and Owen, and
Mm-hmm.
let you all be her father and mother. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe that God is a generational God, and I'm not speaking into Jada's generation. That's for you and
Mm,
Owen to do. But I speak to the two of you to let you all speak to Jada. I don't talk
mm,
directly to Jada. That's
mm-hmm.
your
Mm,
responsibility.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's different. I've never heard that put that way before. Appreciate that
Mm.
wisdom. On what
We're
would be
trying
the
to
best piece
raise,
of advice you could oh, he
yeah,
was still
when
talking.
trying,
Go ahead, you finish your statement. I think he is finished. This is live TV, y'all, so we got technical situations. Owen, what's the best piece of advice you would give a father?
Well, one of the things I would give a father is one of the things that I heard in my spirit from the time my daughter came home from her birth is the
I
fact
got
that as a
delayed
parent and as a
reaction.
father,
Keep going on.
oh, um, is as a father, from the first day that she came home, and even as I shared with her when we were laying on the floor when she first came home, is the fact that as a father, never get tired of being a dad and loving your children, hearing their heart desires. Don't enforce your experiences upon them. Allow them to grow organically, but guide them, if you will, channel them in a direction that they will be the best representation of themselves through your guidance over time.
Mm, okay, cool. Okay, Dad, we're gonna pause and allow you to the buffering to catch up. What is one word that describes fatherhood? Give me one word that describes fatherhood, Dad. Can you hear me? Dad, can you hear me? What's one word that
I can
describes
hear you now.
fatherhood? Okay. What's one word to describe fatherhood?
Love,
One word. Love
love, love.
and love. Okay, Owen,
You
what's your
love
one
Yeah.
word?
all your children the same, but you treat them differently. You
Okay.
relate to them differently.
Okay. Owen, your one word?
My one word, along with the word love, of course, but I would also throw in there flexibility. Flexibility. And the reason why I said flexibility, Trace, if I will, is that sometimes you may not understand where your kid may be. Because as Dad mentioned earlier, as we speak to Jada and her generation, we realize there's a difference. We're kind of linchpin in those situations. So,
Between
just being
our
flexible.
upon our parents' generation and Jada's generation, we're the linchpin. Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah. So flexibility for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Who is Dad? the person who inspired you the most, either past or present? Who, just the person who inspires you the most? I think y'all notice how it is when you got anytime you're
I
dealing with
would
parents of a
say
certain age with technology.
Bishop
See,
Earl
here he
Polk,
is.
Donna Earl,
Really? DE would love to hear that.
and
Okay.
Bishop my life.
Cool. Bishop Earl Polk, late Bishop Earl Polk of the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, his uh, successor, D.E. Polk, Bishop D.E. Polk, whom I've connected with. We are friends, and I thank God that Bishop Earl Polk it was influencing my dad, and D.E. influences my life now. So that's cool. Owen, who has influenced your life most?
I would. Oh wow, I it's such a large village. Um, but I'll start with the foundation. I want to say my oldest brother Roy has been a tremendous influence in my life. Um, anything from when we was a kid, just to have one of his army hats, just something, a piece of something. But I would say, again, I don't want to start calling names because, of course, you know how that goes. But
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to say, from the foundation, I would say my oldest brother Roy has been and still is today a great influence on my life.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you both for this time looking at fatherhood from legacy to leadership, from sons to fathers. Thank you for sharing with us. And those of you, as I was saying, is if you have parents of a certain age, you already know we deal with technology issues. So this is just real life happening in real time. So, but I just want to thank my dad for even putting forth the effort to have an email to, because he'll be 80 in November. And
Mm.
so just having the wherewithal to set up a camera right and make sure his lighting is good and all that kind of stuff. But in conclusion, I want you all to share briefly just a thought that you may have that you want to leave the audience with. And after you do that, it's something I want to read before we get out of the way. But just share in conclusion a thought briefly. Dad, I'd like for you to go first, buffering and all.
Uh, Again, I just go back to the fact that as a father, I love all of my children, but I have grown to understand that I have to relate to them differently. Uh,
Mhm.
I relate different from boys and girls, age wise, their different needs. So even though I love the same, I relate to them differently.
Mhm. Okay. In conclusion, Mr. Owen.
Yeah. In conclusion, I would say to all the fathers out there, all the men, and I know quite a few men that are really doing this thing in a real beautiful and awesome way. Continue to thrive to be the best individual, the best representation of who you are and all that you do. Realize that your kids are watching, your sons are watching, your daughters are watching, and they're responding according to how you handle them and
Mm,
situation as a whole. So be conscious of that and realize that you can be the best representation of what peace looks like, what love looks like, what joy looks like, what cohesiveness looks like in relations to the family dynamics and things of the sort. We know that today is so very sometimes disjointed, but doing everything possible to make sure it's united in a sense because it does impact a child's way of thinking when a parent or situation is not cohesive. And I can speak for myself per se, and I hope that you would hear that do everything that you can to make sure that they see a beautiful, clear picture of what love looks like for
mm.
respect and beyond. And above all things, stay sweet. Stay sweet throughout the entire process. And again, I said there's a lot of men that I know right now that are doing this, and they're doing a great job of it, and continue to do that. And for those that are looking for those examples and looking for those opportunities, seek them out and get there and be the best you that you could possibly represent here in the earth.
Thank y'all so much. And I do want to say, I know a lot of good dads. I know a lot of good Black fathers. I know a lot. I know more good dads than I know bad dads, or dads that aren't reaching their potential. And I must say, I don't know what television is showing you, but then again, I do know what they're showing you. But in real life, I know a lot of good Black men. I know a lot of good Black fathers who are doing the damn thing. I'm just going to be honest. I do know. And so with that being said, I'm going to, Owen and Dad don't go anywhere, but and I want to do a conclusion. I'm going to say goodbye to them for now. But thank y'all for being here. And I'm going to, in my outro, I'm going to read something. And y'all wave bye to the people. See y'all later. I want to thank you for being with me at BWWP as your podcast host, hopefully your favorite podcast host. But I want to read something that I came up with a little bit of help, but it's basically a poem I wrote. And it's a salute to our Black fathers. To our Black fathers, bold and bright, you are a guiding star that gives us light. With your love and steadfast grace, you lift us up as you set the pace. In every challenge, please remain strong, with wisdom deep to help right the wrong. Your courage shines through darkest night. Your faith and hope is our endless light. You've taught us strength the best you could on every stride, to face the world with our heads held up high. Through trials tough and days of rain, you've shown us how to rise again. Your laughter echoes warm and true in every heart, a part of you. You build us up. You have helped us see our power as your legacy. With hands that work and hearts that care, you show us love that we may share. Sharing your time or words you say, you pave for us a brighter way. So here's to you, our fathers dear, your strength and love we hold so near. For all you are and all you do, we celebrate and honor you. I'm TracyMac. I'm grateful and I love y'all for real. Much love and peace.
You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, brought to you in part by TracyMac Solutions for Life Institute, coaching and training services. No doubt you have enjoyed being in our world, and it doesn't have to stop here. Head on over to blackwomensworld.com. This is my personal invitation to you to stay connected with me on social media and more. I'd love to see you there, and I'm so grateful you came to be with me here. Invite someone else to join you in our queendom next time so they can feel the vibe of our tribe of SistaNistas and SistaNista Lovers too. Remember to be kind, be authentic, be generous, be excellent, be grateful, and while you're at it, go ahead and be extraordinary, because that's just what SistaNistas do, on purpose through mission with passion and compassion. It's a Black woman's world, baby, and you, my SistaNista, are proof. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and your host, TracyMac. Wherever you are in the world, may you love and be loved by somebody. Peace.